Hi, my name's Hannah. I'm a doctor and English teacher from England. In today's video, I would like to talk about one of my favourite topics, which is podcasts. I would like to talk to you about my favourite top 5 podcasts for improving your medical English. If you already know all about podcasts and want to skip straight to the recommendations, feel free to skip ahead and I'll pop a little timestamp in the pinned comment below. Alternatively, you can check out my website with a link in the description of this video where I have all of my recommended podcasts with links to download them for free. However, if you're thinking, what is a podcast or why is it relevant to my medical English learning, then let me just briefly explain. So podcasts are audio programs which are published on the internet and you can listen on your devices. Most podcasts, and all of the ones that I'm going to recommend, are completely free. Listening to podcasts, especially those related to medical English, can help build your vocabulary, help you learn new phrases and idioms, and also improve your overall ability to communicate in medical English. The podcasts I have picked out are all formatted in a way that will help you build the skills you need to improve the OET listening, particularly the listening part C. My favourite thing about using podcasts for revision is that you can listen while also doing other day-to-day tasks. This way they can make your learning much more efficient, as you can listen while doing housework, doing exercise, or while in the car or on public transport. This is very different to more traditional styles of study where you're tied to a desk and can't be doing anything else at the same time. So, on to my recommended podcasts. Podcast number 1, BMJ Talk Medicine. This is the official podcast of the British Medical Journal, one of the major medical journals in the UK. Access to the main journal is mostly via paid subscription. However, their podcast is completely free. Therefore, you can access a lot of information that would otherwise be behind a paywall. They have loads of interesting topics across all areas of medicine and are mostly formatted in an interview style, which would be likely to be similar to what you might hear in OET Part C. I would definitely recommend you check it out, look through all of the topics available, and start with episodes that you think would be the most interesting and or the most relevant to your profession. Podcast number 2, The Resus Room. I'll be honest, this is my personal favourite podcast of the list and the one that I find myself listening to most often to improve my medical knowledge. This podcast is run by 3 professionals in emergency healthcare and talks about topics related to pre-hospital medicine and emergency department medicine. They discuss lots of new research and there's loads of interesting information which is presented in a really entertaining and interesting way. For anyone with an interest in emergency medicine or pre-hospital medicine, I would definitely give this one a listen. Podcast number 3. 2 GPs in a pod. Again, this podcast is in interview format and it's a big hit amongst British GPs. It discusses a lot about the structure of general practice within the UK and therefore they talk about slightly different topics than clinical topics, again, which can help you build slightly different vocabulary that will still be incredibly useful for exams and also real life. Podcast number 4. The MDT Podcast. I love a pun, and therefore I love the name of this podcast, which is based around the MDT, or the Multidisciplinary Team. This podcast is presented by 2 geriatricians, doctors who are specialists in the care of older people. They cover topics which are very relevant to all of the healthcare team, including all of the professions who can take the occupational English test. Other than vets, sorry. The podcasts cover a range of topics and are designed to help members of the MDT improve their knowledge in lots of different areas relating to the care of older people. This is especially relevant for anyone taking the OET, as I'm sure you know, the listening exam is common across all of the professions. So it will talk about things related to physiotherapy, occupational therapy, radiography, optometry, and all those other areas outside of just medicine and nursing. Therefore, this podcast can be helpful for absolutely everybody. Another useful thing about this podcast is they have very thorough show notes available on the website. So after listening to a podcast, you can check your understanding against what's written down. Finally, podcast number 5, BBC Inside Health. I find this is a podcast that a lot of people have already heard of, and there's a reason for that. It's very good. This is a professional radio show made by the BBC in the UK, and it's also available to download in a podcast format. This show is designed for the general public, not specifically for healthcare professionals, like all of the other podcasts I've mentioned are. It covers a lot of interesting topics, and they generally speak very clearly, and for that reason, it's a great place to start. However, I would advise that it's probably a little bit easy for those of you who really want to push your listening ability and get those top marks in the exam and really understand thoroughly everything around you when you come to work in a UK or other English-speaking environment. So that concludes my top 5 podcasts. I also have other recommended podcasts, and I'm always adding to this list if I hear of any good ones. So check out my website in the description of this video to have a look at the full list. I also include links to all of the podcasts I've mentioned so that you can go and download them. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if there are any other podcasts that I've missed that you think really should be recommended to everyone. As always, please subscribe to my channel if you find these videos interesting. Let me know in the comments if there's any other types of videos you'd like to see, and check out some of my other videos which are popping around. Thank you very much. Bye!